Well, welcome from the Collegiate Sports Summit. This is Jennifer Cohen, the Director of Athletics at the University of Washington. So your first time in Santa Monica, so thanks for being here. A lot of talk about leadership and principles, and what is sort of your mantra that you take to heart as you took over the job at Washington?
First and foremost, that we're here to serve. And so, I feel like I'm this person that gets the opportunity to work on behalf of others, work on behalf of a place that means so much to so many people, and that we kind of always keep the mission of the place and our people central, to our hearts. The other thing I think in leadership is that we don't always have all the answers. And so I look at leadership as a chance to constantly be improving and evolving and growing. I acknowledge that in my role that, hey, I'm always going to be learning and I'm always going to be trying to do new things and be open-minded to other ideas and concepts, so that has kind of a trickle-down effect throughout the whole culture of our athletic department. I also lead by my heart, and so I really believe in caring about people and really committing myself to working on behalf of everybody else's ability to get better. And that's everybody within our organization and around our university. And finally, I think that, and I'm learning this because this is my first year, but that I have to have an opportunity mindset at all the time in these positions. And so there's so much adversity and there's so much change. And quite frankly, there's so many things that are absolutely out of your control in these positions. So really having that opportunity mindset at all times. So whatever comes your way, the good, the bad, the ugly, awesome opportunity, right? We're gonna get better from it. We're gonna learn from this. We're gonna grow from this. We're going to create change from this, because I really believe that hope is what brings out the best in others and gets results. If you can have a hopeful leadership mantra and you can create hope in the most challenging situations, that's when the magical things happen.
When did you know you wanted to be an athletic director?
Since I was a little girl. I actually wanted to be the football coach at the University of Washington. So we're actually LA people. Our family moved from Southern California to Washington when I was a little girl, and my dad bought Husky football season tickets. And so I fell in love with college football, in particular UW football, and just the competition and the community aspect and just the relationship piece of it. So I wrote Coach James, who was a legendary coach at the University of Washington, a letter in 5th grade and said that I wanted to be the next football coach at UW. And he politely wrote me back and said, girls aren't coaching football, but they are getting into the business of college sports. So I said, when I was in elementary school, that I wanted to be an AD, and I wanted to be an AD at the University of Washington. So dream come true.
Seriously?
Yeah, obviously things change throughout your career. So there were many times throughout the course of my career where that childhood dream didn't necessarily seem attainable or didn't even seem realistic anymore. So it's pretty cool to come full circle and be at a point that I get to lead a program that's been in my heart since I was a kid.
As somebody who has spent my career in male-dominated fields, and I was in sports broadcasting before this, let's just get it out there. Not many women that are athletic directors to begin with, certainly not at one of the big 5 programs. So what I think there are 4 now, right? You were the 3rd, and then there was just recently Heather Light.
Heather, yeah.
So do you take that, do you feel a sense of responsibility, opportunity?
It's been interesting because growing up through the industry, I really spent very little time thinking about gender, because if I spent a lot of time focusing on it, I think it would have been a detriment for me. It could have been a negative thing. And so, I've loved the fact that we're different. And I love the fact that people doubted me. All that did is give me more motivation and a chip on my shoulder to prove people wrong. So that kind of underdog mentality is something that's really fueled my entire career. And quite frankly, I'm never going to lose that. And I love that. And so there's an aspect of that that's always been okay to me. So I've kind of just charged forward. I think now that I'm in a more visible leadership role, it felt like from the minute I was named, all of a sudden I was expected to be this spokesperson for women in sport.
Yep.
And overnight I was put in that role, and I was really kind of wrestling with that, because I really believe that the more we make of that, then the more we're contributing to the stereotype of it. My gender has nothing to do with my ability to do my job well, and I don't think it should be a topic really of conversation, and I look forward to the day that it isn't a topic of conversation, because then we will really arrived and evolved. But I do get that we're not there yet. And so I do have a responsibility. I feel like really responsible for young women in the industry and men. I have 2 sons, and I think this is as much about men as it is women, about making sure that there's equality and that men, women, people with different backgrounds, diverse backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, it doesn't matter. Everybody deserves a shot, and nobody should be put in a box as, just one thing. And so I think I have a chance to be able to advocate for that now. And I have a chance to show young girls that they can do it too. So I take that responsibility very seriously.
You are also among the group. There are a lot of associates, seniors, so making that journey and wanting to get to that AD chair.
Yeah.
What can you share with them maybe that you learned along the way that sort of helped get you there, or now that you're in the chair, what's so different about that compared to being the senior associate before that?
Yeah, a couple things. I'm a very unusual example of somebody that was able to work their way up through an existing organization. So I'm extremely biased about that because I think being able to be at a place that you already know the culture, you know what changes need to happen because you've developed long-term relationships. You have so much credibility already established that I was able to walk into an AD role with a lot of support that I don't know always happens, right? And so I'm a very unusual candidate for that. But I do think just credibility, let's just go back to the basics, like doing what you say you're gonna do, following through, putting others first. All those qualities around my entire career were the reason why I was given the opportunity to lead at Washington. And there was nothing sexy about that. There was nothing fancy about it. It wasn't so much about my titles or my salary or all my networking. It was about working really hard and putting the place first. And so I don't think we ever want to lose sight of that. I think there's all these other strategies that we worry about how to advance in our careers. Get your job done. Do it right. Do it well. Do it on behalf of others, and I think that you're going to progress in your career. As far as the transition goes, I mean, it's totally different. So I would say the content of the work for me hasn't really been that different in that I had a portfolio that supported a lot of work that an athletic director would be doing. So I worked a lot externally. I already had football in my portfolio. So there were some things that transitioning into the role, the work day to day hasn't been as shocking as it is leadership at this level. The responsibility of aligning, instead of maybe 30 people, you've got 250 people, getting everybody synchronized to be working off of an overarching goal and strategy and mission that isn't just so siloed and individualized within sports or business units or support units. So how do you do that? So that's been a huge learning curve for me, the pressure of it, the visibility of it, just the kind of almost, you almost feel like sometimes you can't breathe in your first year, I think, because everything seems so big, and then you start to realize, well, this is how it feels every day. Coach Peterson and I have had great conversations about this. I think football coaches know what it's like to be in really high pressure, high visible positions where you have to really turn off the noise. So he's really actually been teaching me how to manage that, manage being uncomfortable all the time and still get results.
What are some of the changes maybe you have made personally in that leadership when you're talking about going from leading 30 people to 250? Are there tweaks that you have had to make that as you're learning?
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing we did when we came in is I was able to build our own leadership team. And I think having people around you that care deeply about the mission and have the same value set that you have and the organization kind of inherently has is like the foundation that you have to do. So we have a great staff. We have a great leadership team, and that was step number one. The other thing that I found is that I was trying to get to the results too quickly. How are we gonna get there? What are our goals? Where are we going? How are we gonna go there? And finally slowed down a little bit to say, okay, why do we even exist? What is this whole thing all about, right? And it's so complex, and college sports is growing so much that I think sometimes we really lose sight on our mission. So our senior team went through about a 6-month exercise of answering. We read this great book and we started answering questions about why we existed, how are we going to behave, how are we going to hold ourselves accountable to those behaviors, and those are all like value-driven behaviors, right? What do you do? What are your strategic anchors for success? What's the most important thing right now? And we answered all those questions together, and we basically had a roadmap and a playbook for the rest of the department that we've been organically, not PowerPoint presentations and in a notebook and this is how we all are. How do we live this every day? So we're still in kind of year one of this, And what we're seeing is culturally, we're hiring based off of this. We're letting people go based off of our values. We are rewarding people that are behaving in a way that we said was important. We're making business decisions that are absolutely associated with what we've put ourselves and our plan forward on. And I think what happens is you create a lot of alignment. And I think our work in any business and any industry is about alignment. You can always have more resources. You can never have enough. So how do you maximize what you have today? Getting people working together. So I've spent a ton of time on that. I mean, I spend every day thinking about that. And that's just learning. I'm learning. I've never done it before. I'm learning from other people. I'm getting advice from others. I'm relying on my team. And it's been an extraordinary journey so far.
Are you having fun?
It's awesome. It's a great experience. I don't ever use the word fun to describe it, but incredible. I mean, empowering and rewarding and a big responsibility and doing work that matters. So that's a gift.
So I just lastly have to ask, you were a little girl with dreams to be a football coach, turned into an athletic director, and you're here, and you're young, and you're in that role. What's your dream now?
Just to get better every day. I mean, I don't have a big childhood dream anymore. I just want to get better every day. And that's in all aspects of my life. I love being a mom. I have 2 sons that are everything to me. I want to be a better wife. I want to be a better friend. I want to be a better daughter. And I want to be great at the work. And so just living everything to the fullest and trying to maximize that and really keeping perspective of where the work fits in the grand scheme of things and just living the best life I can live.
That was my last question until you just said something, and speaking with another athletic director who had brought up the importance of a support system.
Yeah.
I can only imagine between your husband and your sons, but I mean, this is, the whole family's in this boat, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, we had family meetings before I decided to take this opportunity because I wanted to make sure that everybody was all in. And I don't think anybody gets to do this work without feeling like their family's on board, because my family is my number one priority. They're more important than anything else. So the fact that they're all in, they're sports dudes, they love it. They get all the perks, right? Like they're having a great time. They'll say, we don't notice any difference. I'm like, I notice it all over my face. But apparently you guys are having fun with it. So yeah, absolutely. And friends and having the right people around you, because it gets pretty easy pretty quickly to like get caught up in all the things around it that actually aren't real, aren't factual, and don't really matter. So keeping yourself grounded with the people that love you the most is a big part, I think, of being able to be successful in this industry.
Well, it has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for sitting down.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see what you do at Washington.
Thank you. Thank you.